Welcome to Downpour.com's interview series. I'm Malcolm Hilgartner, and today it's my pleasure to be speaking with Edward Asner and Tavia Gilbert, who are respectively the narrator of the introduction and the producer-narrator of Let Me Stand Alone by Rachel Corrie. Blackstone Audio, in partnership with TalkBox, published the audio version of Let Me Stand Alone on May 1st, 2013. Welcome, Ed and Tavia, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So, Let Me Stand Alone is a selection of the activist Rachel Corrie's journals and letters chosen by her family, and it tells her story in her own words. Tavia, what motivated you to produce and narrate this audiobook?
Several things, but I think primarily because, and forgive me for calling you out on this, but because I realized that people think of Rachel Corrie as the activist Rachel Corrie. And when I discovered the richness of her writing and the heart and the soul of her writing and her thoughts, her contemplations, I thought, I don't believe Rachel ever would have wanted her legacy to be the activist Rachel Corrie as much as she would have wanted to be known as the writer Rachel Corrie. She and I have many similarities. We grew up in the Pacific Northwest. We are close in age. I'm a couple years older than she. We grew up in middle-class families, and we both grew up, I think, with an unusual amount of concern for justice, for peace, for other people's safety and well-being in the world, although Rachel was far braver than I. So when I discovered that her writings had never been put into audio, I felt that I was the right person to do that work, and it became very crucial to me that I do it despite my fear that I wouldn't do it justice or that I would be opening myself to criticism. And I'm very, very honored that her family entrusted her words to my voice. It's an honor to be her voice.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, I'll repeat what is in some of the information about her. She was a 23-year-old American peace activist who died in the Gaza Strip in 2003, protesting the demolition of a Palestinian family's home. There's been terrific controversy over the years about her death, and I'm sure that part of it is quite well known. But what were the aspects in terms of the rest of her life? Tell us a little bit more about her other writings.
She started writing when she was quite young. When she was maybe about 10 years old, she started keeping a journal, and she was deeply concerned, particularly about children's safety, and very, very troubled to learn at a very young age that not every child across the globe had a sense of safety, comfort, peace, security as she did. So she wrote about those concerns, about her passion for the environment, about her love for the mountains and the geography of where she grew up. Rachel was hilarious. She was very self-aware and very self-deprecating in a hilarious way. So she had me laughing out loud at her self-awareness of what a quirky, sort of awkward, funny character she was. When she was a teenager, she traveled to Russia and had, I suppose, what could be termed a spiritual awakening, again, at the amount of peace and safety and affluence and prosperity that she had enjoyed all of her life. And then, like most Americans, things changed for her after September 11th. She became much more urgent about being a part of a world community and using her affluence relative. I mean, I don't believe that her family was particularly affluent, but in proportion to the rest of the globe, my God, we're all obscenely wealthy. And she understood that she was a person of privilege, white skin, middle class, never going hungry a day in her life. She felt deeply obligated and humbled and honored to use her voice to tell the world we're lucky, we're safe, we live in heaven compared to so many people. And the Palestinians, the suffering of the Palestinians on a day-to-day basis became a huge concern of hers when she went to the Gaza Strip and she saw the reality of the insecurity and the danger in which they lived every day. She couldn't just stand by idle or turn away from it. And again, I admire her more than I can put into words because she took action. She used her voice, she stood her ground, and she died a horrific and completely unnecessary death. But I just think she was not setting out to be a martyr, but she was setting out to say, I will not be complicit in this situation. I refuse.
It sounds to me like you almost feel like she's a kindred spirit. Did you ever meet her?
I didn't. I've met her family through email and through Skype. My parents have met her parents when they went to hear her parents speak. But I do feel very much as though I know her intimately after having voiced her journals and having experienced her evolution and progression as a human being and embodying her voice and contemplations from 10 years old all the way up until just days before her death. I do feel like she's a very, very close friend, although that's not the case. I feel a deep amount of love for her.
Ed, you narrate the introduction, which was written by Rachel's father. How did you come to be involved in the project? And what was it like reading something that came from such a deep and personal place in the Corrie family?
Rachel was a heroine to me from the get-go. At first, when you look at such an incident, you say, oh, you foolish girl, you trusted the driver, and you didn't get out of the way. But the more I became involved in the story, the more I realized the intensity, and the bravery, and the wickedness of the incident and how good people commit crimes. And the fact that out of this, perhaps, accident, a great cause for justice and peace was struck. So I was fascinated by the story. I was fascinated by the way her father wrote. I was greatly honored to be a part of it and to hear Tavia speak now.
Listen to the full interview at downpour.com.